In his dreams, Jack envisions Earth as it was before the devastation of war, just as he has witnessed it through photographs. He catches sight of a woman he has never met before, her smile directed at him. Despite only experiencing her presence in his dream, the feelings he has for her are powerful, as though she exists within a memory rather than a mere dream. Jack awakens from his slumber to find himself in the year 2077, 5 years after a compulsory memory wipe. Yet the same dreams continue to haunt him. Jack and Victoria, a pair with distinct differences, have been assigned to Earth for a mission. Victoria lacks curiosity, while Jack is filled with it. They are on a countdown to the completion of their mission, after which they will be reunited with the others. It has been half a century since the alien species known as the Scavengers decimated Earth's moon and attempted to conquer the planet due to the impending demise of their own. This invasion, combined with the chaos of a moonless Earth, led to catastrophic earthquakes and tsunamis that completely destroyed the planet. Although the remaining human population managed to win the war using nuclear weapons, Earth became mostly uninhabitable. The survivors constructed a temporary space station called TET and began migrating to one of Saturn's moons, Titan. Meanwhile, Jack and Victoria remained on Earth to safeguard hydro rigs that convert water into energy, as humanity's survival depended on it. Scavengers still present on Earth continued to wage battle and disrupt their operations, attacking the drones and Jack himself. Their mission control referred to them as an effective team, with Victoria acting as his communication officer and Jack providing tech support for the drones. While Victoria eagerly awaits their departure to Titan, Jack feels a lingering connection to Earth, still considering it his home. As he embarks on his daily patrol and visually confirms the hydro rig's location, abruptly Victoria informs him that 2 drones have been taken down. They establish communication with TET and report the situation to Sally, who then relays the information to Jack and connects his vessel to the drone's beacon. As he follows the beacon through a storm, lightning strikes his vessel, causing him to momentarily lose control and plummet. Concurrently, Victoria attempts to persuade Mission Control that they require new parts for the drones that have been taken down. Their directive for the day is to repair Drone 166 and locate Drone 172. Jack barely regains control of his vessel just before crashing into the ground. He proceeds to the location of the first drone, with Victoria checking for scavenger activity despite having limited visibility. Upon landing near the drone, Jack grabs the necessary tools to fix it and instructs Victoria to keep a watchful eye on his surroundings. As he repairs the drone and converses with Victoria, he remains unaware that he is being observed. Despite her initial doubts, Jack succeeds in fixing the drone using chewing gum. Just before the drone powers up, Victoria notices something on her monitors. Jack turns around to find a dog, which he scares away before the drone can harm it. After verifying Jack's ID, the drone scans the area from which the observers were watching and then takes off. Jack pauses for lunch and discusses with Victoria the increasing boldness of the scavengers. She remarks that once they leave Earth, the scavengers will have nothing left but dust and radiation. Deciding to search for the second drone on the ground, Jack sets out on his bike, traversing the barren landscape that was once covered in water. He receives a faint signal from the drone ahead of him, but is unable to see it. However, he discovers a sinkhole where he suspects the drone may have fallen. He informs Victoria of his intention to go inside the sinkhole to locate the drone, and she warns him that he will be on his own since TET will be offline in 15 minutes. Jack secures a rope to his bike and begins his descent, all while being observed by the scavengers from a distance. Victoria requests drone backup for his location. As Jack carefully lowers himself down, he can hear the drone and eventually spots it, but loses contact with Mission Control. Upon finding the drone signal, he discovers the beacon but not the drone itself. The scavengers capture him, but he manages to shoot their rope and free himself. He exchanges gunfire with them while they attempt to cut off his escape route by removing the beam. Leaping over the gap to safety, he locks himself to his rope and begins to ascend, only for someone to shoot and break the rope, causing him to fall back into the sinkhole. As the scavengers close in, it seems all hope is lost until a drone suddenly appears, scanning and then attacking the area, eliminating the scavengers. Drone 166 scans Jack again, but it takes a moment for it to recognize his ID. Afterward, Jack finds a book on the ground and takes it with him. Upon reaching the surface, he discovers that his bike has been stolen by the scavengers. Jack manages to return home, and while showering, another memory of New York flashes through his mind. He works on repairing a drone and decides to examine the book he found earlier. Victoria interrupts him as she prepares lunch, and the sun sets behind them. Jack presents her with flowers he has been carrying around, but she discards them outside, warning him that they may contain toxins. During dinner, Jack tells Victoria that the scavengers appear to be attempting to capture rather than kill him. Victoria heads outside to their pool, disrobes and dives in. Jack follows her but hesitates before joining her in the water. He proposes that they explore the ground together before departing Earth. She pulls him into the pool, they share a passionate kiss, and he experiences another vision of the mysterious woman from his dreams. Awakening from his sleep, Jack witnesses a massive explosion in the distance and sets out to investigate. He discovers that a hydro raid has exploded, possibly due to scavengers weaponizing one of the drones. He locates a rogue signal being transmitted off-planet and traces its origin to the area surrounding the remains of the Empire State Building. Exploring on foot, he encounters something he saw in his dream. He hears the beacon's signal and finds various trinkets scattered on the ground. The beacon is using the building as an antenna, and Victoria decrypts the transmitted information, revealing coordinates in a remote location. Jack shuts down the beacon and continues his patrol, coming dangerously close to the radiation border. Before returning home, he conducts a perimeter check, goes off comms, and lands his vessel in a beautiful ravine near a house by a lake. Inside the house, he turns on a light, plays a Led Zeppelin record, and enjoys the tranquil surroundings, thinking about how much he will miss this place when they leave. Falling asleep on the grass, he dreams once more of the woman at the Empire State Building. Jack sees an unidentified object falling from the sky and takes off immediately to investigate. Victoria provides him with the object's landing coordinates, which match the beacon's coordinates. As Mission Control is about to go offline, Victoria informs them of the situation, and Sally instructs Jack to stand down, as drones have already been dispatched to the site. Disregarding the order, Jack proceeds to inspect the object and discovers that it appears to be a pre-war, human-made artifact. Upon landing at the site, he finds hibernation pods containing human survivors, including the woman from his dreams. Drones arrive and begin destroying the pods. Jack attempts to halt them, but Drone 166 prepares to engage with him as well. Although the drone eventually clears his ID, it still attempts to destroy the pod containing the woman. Jack defends the pod, shooting at the drone and disengaging it. Scavengers watch him from a distance. Jack manages to land his vessel and exits, dragging the pod containing the woman back to Victoria, who helps him open it. Victoria advises him to get a medical kit and insists that they report the incident, but Jack tells her about the drone's actions. The woman awakens, coughing up breathing fluid, and recognizes Jack by name. Once conscious, she inquires about her whereabouts. Victoria introduces themselves, and the woman identifies herself as Julia. Victoria explains the crash and its aftermath, but Julia appears confused. When asked how long she has been asleep, Jack informs her it has been 60 years. The three share a meal, and Jack questions Julia about the beacon and her mission. She insists on retrieving the flight recorder from her ship, but Victoria cautions her about the significant changes that have occurred on Earth over the past 60 years. They inform Julia about the alien invasion, and the fact that the remaining human population is either on the space station or en route to Saturn's moon Titan. Julia notices Jack and Victoria holding hands and chuckles, while Victoria remains apprehensive about her presence. Later, the couple discusses Julia, with Victoria expressing her desire for Julia to leave. Jack inquires whether Victoria has any pre-mission memories and if she remembers Julia, but Victoria becomes angry and reminds Jack that a scavenger beacon led to Julia's arrival. Indeed, scavengers have discovered their living quarters. Later, Jack joins Julia, who is now awake, and informs her that Victoria will report her presence to the TET, who will then send someone to retrieve her. Julia insists on recovering the flight recorder from her ship, claiming that both she and Jack need to know what transpired. They leave together, despite Victoria's warning that she cannot protect Jack. Upon arriving at the crash site, Victoria watches them through the vessel's camera. Julia spots the destroyed pods, and Jack informs her that he was unable to save the others. Victoria sees someone on the monitors and tries to warn Jack and Julia, but her warning goes unheard as Julia searches for the flight recorder, which she eventually finds. Suddenly, scavengers appear, knocking Jack over. He sends the vessel back and is rendered unconscious by the scavengers. The following day, the vessel returns to Victoria. As Mission Control comes back online, she doesn't reveal the full extent of the situation, only mentioning that Jack went off comms. She requests a drone to scout the area where he was last seen. Jack awakens restrained, with a bright light shining in his face. He hears a voice reciting lines from a book he found earlier. A man emerges from the shadows, lighting a cigar, and explains that he has been observing Jack, noting his curious nature. Jack retorts that the man won't obtain any valuable information from him, as his memory has been wiped. The man questions whether Jack has ever truly encountered a scavenger before or ventured into the radiation zone, and if he has ever asked too many questions. The lights illuminate an entire building filled with humans, leaving Jack bewildered. Beach, the man, clarifies that they are simply humans who must conceal themselves from the drones programmed to exterminate them. He inquires why Jack shielded Julia from a drone, to which Jack replies that anyone would have done the same. Sykes approaches, warning that a drone will track Jack. After releasing Jack from his restraints, they help him to his feet. Concurrently, Victoria examines the tracking data from the drone with mission control, and Sally verifies that it is indeed Jack. Beach escorts Jack to their underground facility and reveals that they brought down Julia's ship for its reactor. He explains that combining the reactor with the scavenged drone fuel cells could create a nuclear weapon. They possess a drone capable of transporting the weapon, but only Jack can access it. At the same time, another drone is tracing Jack's DNA to their hideout. Beach requests that Jack program the drone to deliver the nuke to the TET's core, effectively ending the war. Jack refuses, prompting Sykes to shoot him. They bring Julia in and threaten her life. An alarm suddenly announces an incoming drone, which arrives at their location and scans the area. The scavengers attempt to destroy it but suffer casualties until Sykes ultimately disables it. Victoria and Mission Control confirm that the drone has gone offline, and Victoria requests 2 additional drones. Simultaneously, Jack conveys the same information to Beach. The scavengers agree to release them, and before departing, Beach advises Jack to seek the truth in one of the radiation zones. Jack and Julia arrive at the Empire State Building, where Jack sends a message to Victoria, notifying her of his survival. Victoria informs Mission Control and asks them to call off the other drones. She sends the vessel to retrieve Jack. While waiting, Jack questions Julia about her true identity. Julia discloses that her original mission was a research flight to Titan. However, 6 weeks before launch, their sensors detected an alien object, and their mission was reassigned to investigate the TET. Julia reveals that she is actually Jack's wife, and that he is not who he believes himself to be. She recounts Jack's marriage proposal at the very spot they are standing. Although Jack recalls fragments of the memory, he remains somewhat perplexed. When the vessel arrives, Victoria witnesses Jack and Julia embracing. They return to the house, but Victoria refuses to let them inside. Jack explains that they need to leave and that Juliet is his wife. Despite Jack's objections, Victoria reports Julia's presence to the TET. Abruptly, the door opens, and a drone inside the house activates. Jack urges Victoria to join them, but she declines, disbelieving Jack's claims. The drone kills Victoria, and then targets Jack, but Julia destroys it. Jack finally communicates with the TET, which expresses a desire to bring Jack and Juliet in and assign them a new mission. They leave the house, pursued by TET-controlled drones. After an arduous chase, Jack leads the drones into a storm, where lightning strikes momentarily halt them. Hiding behind a waterfall, Jack's vessel eludes detection, allowing him to ambush and destroy 2 of the drones. The final drone proves resilient. Drone 166 follows them into the radiation zone, colliding with their vessel and causing it to crash. Jack activates the escape lever, stranding them in the radiation zone. He hears a drone nearby and investigates, only to witness another vessel, similar to his own, landing beside it. Unable to identify the man who disembarks through his scope, Jack moves in for a closer look. To his astonishment, Jack encounters his own doppelganger. The other Jack orders him to lower his weapon and insists they must shoot down the drone. Julia appears, and the other Jack experiences a memory flash about her. The 2 Jacks engage in a struggle over their guns and then engage in hand-to-hand combat until Jack 49 subdues Jack 52. Suddenly, Drone 166 reactivates, but Jack 49 quickly removes its fuel cell. He calls for Julia and discovers she has been shot. Jack carries Julia to safety, restrains Jack 52, and commandeers his vessel, flying it to his home. Inside, he notices striking similarities between their living spaces. He locates a medical kit and retrieves the necessary supplies, but Victoria 52 catches him. He manages to persuade her that he is her Jack, but fails to convince her to accompany him to the ground. Upon returning to his location, Jack 49 finds that Jack 52 has escaped. He tends to Julia's injuries, transports her to his lakeside house, and ensures she recovers fully. Upon waking up, Julia explores the house and plays Jack's favorite record. She joins him outside, where he confesses that although he knows he is not the original Jack, he has loved her for as long as he can remember. Julia reassures him that his memories ultimately define who he is. The following morning, Jack is determined to take action and prepares for the task at hand. He has made the decision to assist Beach, and Julia agrees to accompany him. They reach the scavengers' hideout, where Beach is pleased with their choice to support their plan. In the meantime, TET reviews footage from Jack's previous visit and locates his data, sending 3 drones to pursue them. As Jack programs the drone, Beach recounts the tragic events he witnessed, from the moon's destruction to humanity's starvation, and ultimately, TET's invasion with soldiers resembling astronaut Jack Harper. These doppelgangers had their memories erased and were programmed to kill. Beach explains that TET is an ingenious machine that consumes planets for their energy. He observed Jack's unique behavior, picking up a book and saving Julia, and speculated that Jack might be different, potentially able to help if given the opportunity. With the drone activated, Beach expresses his desire to witness TET's reaction when the nuclear bomb detonates. While this mission would be a one-way trip, he believes it is worth the sacrifice. The scavengers ready the drone for its ultimate task and open the gates, only to be confronted by the 3 pursuing drones. The drones infiltrate the hideout and cause chaos, overpowering the humans. Despite their efforts, Beach manages to destroy 1 drone at the cost of his own injury and the destruction of the drone carrying the nuclear bomb. Sykes and Jack eliminate the remaining 2 drones. Realizing their initial plan has failed, Julia devises an alternative. Since TET requested Jack bring her to it, he could transport her using a pod and carry the nuclear bomb in the process. They share an emotional farewell in front of a painting reminiscent of Julia's home. Jack and Julia prepare a pod containing the explosive device, and he gently places her inside. He urges her to dream about their life together and seals the pod. Dragging the pod to his vessel, he plots a course to TET. During the journey, he listens to a recording from their spaceship and remembers his past. Jack was the commander of the mission, with Sally serving as NASA mission control and Victoria as his co-pilot. The rest of the crew, including Julia, were in hibernation. In the present, Jack approaches TET and informs it that he is delivering the survivor. T allows him entry. Recalling his memories, he remembers that as they drew near TET, he ejected the hibernation module when the object began to pull them in. He and Victoria were subsequently captured by TET. In the present, Jack enters TET, which sends drones after him. He persuades TET to let him approach, and on his way to the control center, he observes numerous clones of himself and Victoria. TET welcomes him upon his arrival. Jack retrieves the pod and opens it, revealing Beach inside. Simultaneously, Julia's pod opens, and she wakes up in a lakeside house, unaware that Jack had taken her there. Elsewhere, drones approach the surviving humans. Inside TET, Jack and Beach activate the nuclear bomb, destroying TET and its drones. Sykes and Julia watch the explosion from a distance. 3 years later, Julia resides in the lakeside house with her daughter. Suddenly, the rest of the survivors appear at the lakeside house. To her surprise, Jack 52 is with them as well. Jack has finally come home to his wife and child. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay on top of all the latest recaps and never miss a beat. Thank you for watching.